If I had $1 for every time somebody told me, oh, Latinx is a dumb-ass terminology, I would be a fucking millionaire. Welcome back to Latino Studies 101. This is TikTok University, and I'm your professor, Dr. Esther Trujillo. I don't know if you've noticed by now, but I'm a little irreverent. I curse a lot, and I'm not affiliated with any university anymore other than Hillman Talk University. So I pretty much say it however I feel it. I'm not going to apologize for that. But let's get into it. What is the difference between using Latina, Latino, Latinx, Hispanic, Latin American? There's so many terminologies. Why should we pick one over the other? So ethno-racial monikers, like the ones I just mentioned, have two types of application. One is self-applied and the other is externally applied. As a group, we can get together and we can decide what we want to be called. And sometimes we decide that we want to be called Hispanic. Other times we decide that we want to be called Latinx. What we don't have control over is what other people call us. And that is where we get into the conversation about how Latinos are counted in the census in the United States historically. The first time Latinos showed up on the census was in 1930 when we were called Mexican. The only time that people are counted in the census is when it becomes politically and economically important for the government to count people. Now, I know some of you are thinking, Mexicans were here before 1930. Mexicans were here before the U.S. was, before this part of the U.S. was the U.S. And you're right. It didn't start to politically matter until the 1930s. Now, something happens politically in the United States between 1930 and 1940 that causes the name that is used on the census to count us to change. In 1940, the word that's used to count Latinos is a Spanish surname, right? What's your last name? The reason why this changes is because there was a political organization. Some of you may have heard of them, LULAC. The League of United Latin American Citizens begins organizing and says, hey, we're not all Mexican, change that. Before you get up in arms about, why would they not want to be counted as Mexican, remember that sometimes the terminology Mexican is more in reference to a specific cultural practice and a specific group of people that at that moment were not deemed desirable. Now, LULAC has been around for a really long time, and they've done some pretty great things, over the almost 100 years that they've been in existence. But in the 1940s, they were like, we're not all Mexican, so the census began counting us as of Spanish surname. By the time 1950 came around, the census again counted us as Mexican. Now think about that. Politically, why would they change the name